Thanks for coming back for another custom conversation. Today we have Sharah here. So excited to talk to you about your story and let everybody else hear, what it's been like for you going through the custom fat loss program. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So let's do this. Before we spill the beans and talk about, what you've actually been able to accomplish through your time in the custom fat loss program, let's go backwards. So, talk a little bit about where you were before, what you might have tried, what life was like, how you were feeling.
Okay. Well, I've struggled with it my entire life. I started gaining weight sometime in my teenagehood, and I could not lose it no matter what I did. We tried all kinds of diets growing up. Nothing worked.
Yeah.
I think the crux, the thing that really hit us was my husband and I were both gaining weight. I was almost a 300 and he was 325. He went to the doctor and got diagnosed with something that was preventable. And he freaked. And he actually came home and said, we are going to do this and we're going to do this now. And I was really excited because we had tried to start so many things. We did something called The Fix that was like a 21-day thing, but we were worshiping food. We hated it. We were all we did was prep food. There was nothing else, and exercise. And it just didn't fit in the lifestyle. Like you can't function when that's all you're doing.
Consumes you.
Yeah. And I was really hoping that when we started this program, I would find a way to actually maintain weight loss, because I've lost a few pounds here and there, but it would always come back. And that was the thing that I walked in the door really hoping was going to change this time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, that's a place where I'm sure so many people listening and watching this can completely, empathize. It's so difficult when you're out there and you're struggling, you don't really know why. You've tried some things before, but to your point, so much that's there is, well, let me give that a shot, but I don't know, this just doesn't make sense. This is so difficult to implement. So, such a tough spot to be in when you're wanting to get, to a different spot, but you don't feel like you've got, a road to walk on.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest challenges was just feeling like nothing was ever showing enough results to continue doing it.
Yes.
There was expense, there was challenge. It was like one person on the internet saying, eat this, one person saying, no, never eat that. And you're like, what do I do? And the doctors are all very sweet, but everyone was always just like, oh, just, follow the food pyramid. Well, I don't know that that's legit. I've been eating the food pyramid my whole life, and that's how I ended up at 300 pounds.
Yeah. And where does that leave you with just more questions and a whole lot of frustration?
Right, exactly. So then you just start giving up, and then you eat more because you're depressed because you weigh so much, and it eats at you. It's definitely something that struggling with my whole life has been rotten.
Yeah, it can become such a vicious cycle. So, let's spend a little bit more time there. It's tough when you think about the way that this can impact you emotionally. What were you feeling physically?
Oh, well, have I got a story for you. So shortly, probably a half year before we came in, I had fallen on the ice and I got sciatica very badly. And I didn't know about it for a couple of months. I had this weird numbness in my leg.
Yeah.
I've always had trouble. I also managed to do something and wrench my knee. So I had just seen a doctor before we started custom fat loss. So I was going to physical therapy for sciatica, and I'd seen the doctor with the knee issue, and both of them were saying, you really have to lose weight because that's the only way either of these things is going to become better and less problematic.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I remember having a conversation with a friend who was trying to encourage me, but didn't, by saying, well, fit people are more fun to hang out with.
Oh my goodness.
And you're like, wow, thanks, friend. That was encouraging. Not.
No, that
So,
hurts.
yeah, but I didn't like going places or doing things because I was physically exhausted too quickly. It was hard to get even up and down the stairs at work, and we have some pretty rough stairs at work. So, it was definitely something where I felt like something has got to change because physically I can't even chase after kids if I have any,
Yeah.
And of course, all the doctors were saying, oh, if you want kids, you should lose weight because that seems to be the fastest way to get pregnant. And I'm like, oh, one more thing, just went on and on like that.
Right. And still, dancing around the idea of, well, I know there's a solution there, but, somebody kind of trying to dangle a carrot and say, well, yeah, you'll be more fun to be around. Having kids will be better, easier. living a lifestyle with children, all those things, that's so tough.
And it just feels like, again, it's a problem with no visible solution, because everybody's solution is slightly different and none of them really align with each other, and who knows what you're supposed to do next.
Right.
It gets exhausting.
Absolutely, and it makes it, I mean, it's just going to freeze you, because of course, how can you move forward when you feel like nothing is confirming or denying, the other.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
So, you came in at some point, obviously you described your husband came home, you're at that moment where you're like, okay, he's like, we're doing this. Talk about that. What was in your mind? I know you said you were excited, but you must have had some reservations, some concerns.
Absolutely. So somebody had told me about custom fat loss about 2 years prior to that. And I looked it up and I read the reviews and I was like, I just don't know if I can buy this. No offense. It's just a difficult sell when nothing else has ever worked.
Yeah.
And I
sound too good to be true?
Yes,
okay.
Quite frankly, that was a big part of it. And another part of it was just the awareness that it was going to probably be expensive. And an expense is, we are just now getting to that point of our lives where we're starting to have that extra income to do fun things. And so it's hard to say, oh yeah, I want to spend my fun money doing a weight loss program.
Yeah, of course.
So I felt like I needed some assurances. A big part of the assurance for me was one of the pastors at my church had gone through custom fat loss, and we'd all seen him slimming down, and everybody wanted to know his secret. So I finally approached him and I said, would it be all right? Do you mind me asking how you did this? And he was like, no, not at all. I went to custom fat loss. They're great. They're so great. And he was so excited about it. And that really gave me a sense of this is something we can do, because I trust him implicitly. Not just because he's a pastor, but because he is a man of faith who is really biblically sound. And also, he's just a super smart dude. Like, you can trust some people because they do the work, the intellectually there. He is that. So that was such a relief to me, because I felt like, hey, I know if my pastor can do this, then I can also do it. And so I walked in the door with, yes, trepidation, but maybe a little bit more security than other people. So if you're out there and you're trying to decide if you want to do this, I would definitely say that you can trust my pastor. He's super smart. It worked for him and it worked for us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about that. Well, actually, hold on. I'll save that. Let's talk about, some details.
Okay.
So, again, for the benefit of everyone, watching this, listening to this, what was the actual timeline? How long ago did you get started? How much did you lose, right away as a result?
So I started in April of 2018.
Okay.
And we were done with the 40-day period at the end of, would have been June. Yeah. We actually went on vacation at the end of June and we were in that 3-week period.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely shocked because I went from 297 down to 261.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so over 30, almost 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And then I continued to lose weight through the summer, so I was down to about 250.
Wow.
I came back, I want to say, it was in August of 2019, and I lost another, it went up and down a little bit, but I definitely lost another 10, 15 pounds, so I was down to like 250.
Yeah.
This is healthier than I have been since I was in college. I was looking at college pictures the other day and went, oh, wow. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
So that was really exciting.
Yeah. So, we're coming up on kind of the 2-year anniversary. And again, you're saying in just about a month and a half, you lost almost 40 pounds.
Yes.
Kept that weight off, continued to keep losing. And then, we're moving forward. You came back, worked with us again, lost a bit more. So fast forwarding to today, where are we today?
Today, I'm at like 257, 255. It hovers, through life. And sometimes I make poor decisions. Sometimes I make better decisions. But the thing that really lightens me is the knowledge that I know what I need to do to get it back off.
Yeah.
And I know what I need to do to move forward, and I'm still working with Alyssa here.
Yeah.
So it's really nice because I feel like I'm empowered to actually continue this journey, whether or not I do another full round of custom fat loss or just keep working out on my own.
Yeah. Well, it's such a difference to be able to lose that weight and keep it off. A lot of people, we have that experience. You do something, you might be able to get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of it, that weight comes flying back. For you, I know it's saying, well, it was really just about finding anything that would be a difference maker. So to know that you lost weight, not only lost it, kept it off, not only kept it off, but you were able to keep losing, you know, such a victory.
It really was.
Yeah.
It's been tremendous. And I finally feel like there's hope. You know, this is not the rest of my life. And this size, I'm happy with. Happier than I've ever been, but I am so excited about the next size down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's fun to go shopping and pick things out that are normal. It's fun to like be able to shop the clearance racks instead of going to the super fat lady area. There's just a lot of things. And, you know, unfortunately in this culture, being fat is still not acceptable. And I don't think it's healthy. I don't want that. But it's just so nice to be moving out of that category and feeling like I'm in a different space.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I love what you said. You feel like you have, you know, you have hope, kind of have that road in front of you.
That's the best part. And honestly, if I get to a point where I decide that I need to come back through Custom Fat Loss again, I'm not going to feel guilty or bad about it. It's just going to be, hey, this is where I need to be right now. Yeah. That was the most empowering moment. It was just saying, you know what, I'm going to just do what's good for my health.
Yeah.
We'll figure everything else out later, but that's the important part. So don't dwell on guilt, and don't be feeling like you fail if you gain a few. You just start over. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah. So as we're rounding out here, you know, from your perspective, having gone through the Custom Fat Loss program, having lived on the other side of it and been so successful, not just losing, keeping that weight off, continuing to lose more like we talked about, what do you feel, you know, what was the difference? What were the difference makers? Why do you feel like this worked where, you know, you weren't able to see any real results prior?
I think the big difference is that having that very short window of time where you lose so much, it empowers you so that when you, that 40-day period, I don't know what else to call it, really puts you in a position where you start out the next 3 weeks thinking, how do I maintain this? Because I don't want to go anywhere else. So that's really empowering, because one of the best parts of Custom Fat Loss was figuring out what makes me hurt. I know that we were focusing on like what causes the weight fluctuations, but I really discovered that certain foods make me hurt.
Wow.
My sciatica would flare up a lot more.
Yeah.
Other parts of me would feel inflamed or yucky. So I started really being able to identify what things, and it's frustrating because they're things that people normally eat. Like wheat. I really seem to struggle with wheat or something in the wheat process. And I don't think it's gluten intolerance. I think it's actually the product. But knowing that that's something that creates a problem means that I can choose to avoid it.
Yes.
Or if I choose to indulge in it, I have to recognize that it can't be an everyday thing. It has to be an occasional thing.
Yeah.
So, and that's really what's changed for me, is kind of that awareness of what sets me off, what doesn't. I don't participate in sugar anymore, almost at all. I'll have the very occasional dessert, but we've found a lot of decent substitutes for other things. So, and we don't drink soda at my house anymore. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So it's been tremendous to feel like there's a way to continue on. And the things that I've had to give up are worth feeling so much better.
Yeah.
You know, so it's worth it. It's not easy all the time, but it's worth it.
Yeah. But you mentioned 3 really standout things to me, knowing that you had that positive reinforcement. You were able to make such an incredible amount of progress that it just kept you motivated, kept you inspired, kept you, you know, excited for the next day, knowing that, you know, there were more results ahead. And the other 2 things that stood out to me, you know, you were talking about being able to really learn about your body, learn what foods I'll say were good for you, and learn what foods were not good for you.
Right.
It's not something that, you know, it's not something you can just pull off the internet. Like you said, you really have to know how to listen to your body and what signs and symptoms are going to be there in terms of, this is good, this is bad. You know, but the biggest thing I think is just, again, that kind of that hope, that confidence. You know, that's not just a misplaced confidence, but something that you could really wrap your hands around and say, I'm confident in the future because of this.
Yeah.
You know, I really know how to do things different now.
Yeah, definitely.
Big deal.
Definitely. And I would just want to add one more thing, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Doing this alongside my husband, one of the things that we discovered is that what I react to is not the same as what he reacts to.
Sure.
And I think that's really important to know, because you really aren't going to be able to go to the internet and get a list.
Right.
And just say, oh, well, I should just avoid these foods because the internet said so, or some person or some blogger. Your individual, your custom part of this is what your body handles and doesn't handle.
Yeah, such a difference. Yeah, it's got to be about you.
Yeah. And it really is important to take stock and go, okay, well, if that means that one of us has to make a different dinner than the other, that's life.
Sure.
We're just not going to, we don't want to keep playing this game.
To your point, like you said, when you know that it's about your health and you know it's going to change the way that you physically feel, for the positive or the negative, it becomes a lot easier decision to make, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so closing thoughts, just thinking back where you were, where you started before coming into the custom fat loss program, and how different you felt. What are the biggest takeaways for you in terms of how different you feel now, how different life is, and what would you say to someone who's considering for themselves, is on the fence?
So I think the biggest takeaway is that I am at a point where I can finally love who I am, myself, me. And it's knowing that this is not a thing that I can't overcome has changed how I view myself. Now, I won't say that I did this on my own. The Lord was with me the entire time. It made a huge difference. My church family supported me. My family supported me. So don't discount that. It's super important.
Yeah.
But just having that sense of like who I am has changed how I view myself and how I interact with other people in a very positive way. And that was built in from a long time ago. So for that to have so much impact on my self-worth is huge. I would say if you're willing to put the work in, you're going to get the results you want. That's what matters. I really, I don't think you can cheat on this program. I don't think it's beneficial to you to cheat on this program. I think that you do the 40-day or 45-day, whatever you end up doing, and you stick to it. And then when you do the 3-week period afterwards, you just track very carefully and you try to keep track of what's happening, because your body is the only way you're going to tell what the next steps are. But after that, you figure that stuff out and life is livable. Things are changeable. You can alter how you eat. You can alter what you're doing in your life. And I will say, one of the best parts, I don't know how I ended up here now, but the timing for finding things on the internet to help me, recipes that worked with what works with my body, are everywhere.
Yeah.
So this is a good time to do this if you're going to do it.
Yeah, fortunate, right?
Yes, very.
Absolutely.
Very. But, and I just want to throw one more thing in.
Please.
So I'm a sweater knitter. I knit things by hand. I have for years. I would not knit myself a sweater when I was 300 pounds because it took so much yarn and so much time.
Wow.
So I made this last summer and I finished it and it's beautiful and it's the smallest sweater I've ever knit for myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But it's just one of those things that it really changes how you view yourself. So it's totally worth doing it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big deal. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Sharah.
you.
Thank you for sharing so openly. Such an incredible story.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And thank you to everybody for watching. Guys, until the next time, be well.